Okay. Yeah, let's go. What am I doing? What the fuck? I'm sorry. Hi. Life will hit you with a lot of hardships. I know. I've been there too. I wanted to go over just how mixed life gets with suicide. So, let's open up about an honest experience, shall we? Back to 2016, hey? Can you believe it's been 10 plus years now? Nothing to worry about, at least for me. I made my own account on Roblox, a well-known game platform where all you had to worry about was if you would make enough money in that tycoon game or get on the leaderboard of some simulator. I made some good friends, sending request after request, finding my way to roleplay through the next game after another, or die in various obby games that you jump around in. No worries. 2 years straight of this same routine of finishing school, going home, and spending hours in front of that iPad or PC. 2016 to 2018. So innocent. It's 2019 now. I had many friends, but there is one in particular. We'll call him Can. Can was a nice friend, having originally met through some old game during my run as a Roblox quotations developer. We played the days away, with Murder Mystery 2 being oh so fun.
Okay.
I wanted to try something new. Content creation. I began recording us playing various games, which really helped with our bonding over time. Quite the duo in camping games, you know? 2020 hits. COVID, you remember? Everyone panicking, New York City emptier than before, you name it. This was the slow start of something brewing underneath, but I couldn't tell just yet. Can was a good friend, having spent many days together, but we eventually dwindled down. I was getting busy with online schoolwork, having been confused on what the heck Google Meets was. Although that never meant I stopped playing with friends. Over time, I began knowing this one particular friend group. 5 or so people it was, with one being Can's younger relative, who we'll call Evan. Evan was one of the people I spent many nights grinding in uncountable amounts of simulators. Boy, was Thick Legends a top one. I had my other friends too though, and we always met up to play games in one way or another. Minecraft, another game in my life of a blocky sandbox game, became a large part of our journey in becoming truly close friends. I miss the skyblock worlds we always made. Things sure started to look odd at this point, including me.
The horse is here.
My friend group was still hopping around and making the best of our newly found hobby, trolling. Boy, we sure laughed the nights away. Although things started to change a bit for me, I got into my first relationship. Don't cheer. Don't. It was online and things were going pretty smoothly at first. About as smooth as the cars in the driving game we met from. Honestly, texts were about as drier than the Sahara Desert, like, oh my gosh. But at least for a few months, it felt relatively fine. Although, I started to think about certain media, certain experiences that I otherwise didn't know was the beginning of darkness. Darkness. At first, I found myself pretty stressed over simple schoolwork. You know, I was still online and no AI help like I see today. I know, frightening. Although other stuff, I'll say, really began to creep into my head. I almost enjoyed suffering, in a sense. Not me deliberately wanting to harm others, but rather just not changing what direction I was going despite knowing it was bad. My friend group noticed, feeling confused at first on what to do, especially after finding out about my relationship. None of us had any experience beforehand. I doomscrolled, to put it lightly, with some Roblox Twitter, bloody violence, fights, etc. taking up my feed. Seeing that doom, it just got to me. It became a part of my own life, forming anti-group behavior, throwing curses at my friends and partner wherever I saw fit. Just don't get it. Like growing an addiction to short pleasure. Only once my friends began doing the same at me, partially coming from Can, after realizing what I was doing, was it only when I truly noticed, where the hell was I going? Isolation swept around, at least mostly. For some reason, there were days we still came together like nothing ever happened, ignoring the hate I posted, the relationship I tore apart, just glimpses of innocence under what is now some corpse sitting in front of a PC monitor. Those were rare, but otherwise my last flickering lights in the anger I believed in. I hated all the other days, although it didn't stop there. No turning back, I thought. They found contact with my family. It suddenly felt like everything was about to end. Up until this point, my ratting was behind a locked door. Coming out still looking half decent despite my unkept hair. Only once the group finally made contact was when it happened. Everything is fine. I swear. No, what the f*** am I doing? What the f*** am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What the fuck? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I spent a week in a mental facility a couple days after. Lost track of time for the first time, sleeping in the hospital waiting room. That was the darkest period of my life. Immediately after I left, I was suddenly and wholly isolated from everyone who was throwing the hate back at me, so things were just quiet. There were quite a few details I left out, hence some vivid imagery, knowing I'm still personally ashamed of that past. It really was an experience that taught me to recognize my own feelings. I needed to stop and ask, why is it I have grown to these provocative feelings? What influences drove me to this? That doom scrolling? Friends? I'm sure you have to ask yourself that too. Finding your self-identity in whatever situation you're in, and why/where it began. It's easy to beat yourself up and say all your efforts are useless or quote-unquote it's too late. But is it really? Why is it too late? Why do you believe that? Before I get deeper into it, however, let's keep flipping the pages of this story, shall we? The past conflicts finally ended after our disbanding, since the facility and all. Physical high school was around the corner, and I was nervous after what I had done only a month or so ago. Social anxiety became a quick norm, as I was just so afraid of what could happen again. I found productivity as my own escape, so I actually went back to content creation. It was easy to work mostly alone, starting off with Roblox tutorials because of how calming it was to just read instructions. Long story short, went through a couple other changes, animations, gameplays, yada yada. I was still exploring my future after what was probably a year now since the prior darkness. Things felt quiet, and I enjoyed the quiet. Something new was lingering in my head, however, now that I kept focusing on finding a deeper path in my work. Gameplays were fun, sure, and boy did I always lose my voice, but did I really feel true to myself? I looked back at the statistics day by day, wondering why I couldn't scrape past a few thousand views, or had a certain amount of likes, or subscribers. In short, I felt overwhelmed with the technical jargon. My new conflict wasn't a friend issue I could talk over, but now some hyperfixation on growing my audience. That was until I wanted to discover more about why these feelings came. So I made another content switch, a switch to mental health. Things blew up and I felt so happy. Although things felt different from the expected happiness of, wow, I got 100k views. It was the happiness of, wow, I've changed. Those moments were when I felt true. I found a way of self-discovery, doing everything I can to be anything but that wretched past image of myself in 2022. Unfortunately, I was still learning. School expectation grew as I slowly crawled out of my shell. Extracurriculars desired me to complete a certain inventory, formulate a plan, etc., etc. It was like I suddenly had a job on top of my channel that unexpectedly started growing and flooding the Discord server. Uncontrollable growth on one hand, and writhing expectation on the other. How so opposite? Stress was still pushing me down, even in times of the past no longer being my present because now I'm just some broken robot trying to catch up with the next step. I thought I had moved on, but instead, stress converted my alone time into loneliness. It got into my head. Things felt lonely again, just like the bad old days. No one really there to listen, at least I perceived, because I was too busy dismissing socials for work or not opening up to friends because I was busy being a mental caretaker. I never told myself to stop. Just keep going. Work is what matters more, I told myself. So, I went to a physical party, hoping someone would notice the hidden emotions behind my face and ask just once, "Are you okay?" No one asked, so I relapsed. I won't say what happened at the party, but that was another dark day in my life. I really had no clue until after. Suicide could be a long battle to endure, and no singular video will tell you the number one advice, because it's ultimately on how you choose to change. It affects everyone in all aspects, from a dark life thinking there is no hope to an overly drained person from statistical work, and many more out there. After my initial experience with suicide, and then my later relapse, I've realized one thing based on how I chose to change. Self-discovery has become so important. Not too long after, so late 2024, I made a reflective video that was just honest and true to myself. I wanted to be open and vulnerable on those past experiences. Since then, I've been doing much mentally better as I explore how to tell the next story, the next tip, in ways respecting my own honest boundaries. And so, what is your way of self-reflection? I don't personally know your current situation, perhaps conflicts with friends too, or maybe other things like people-pleasing or family strain. However, what I'll definitely tell you now is to know it'll be alright. Many things can be overarchingly burdensome, but it's our emotional perspective that determines how and why we tackle it. Why do you feel a burden? Where is it from? Whatever you're going through, I do know and understand it in a way. We've all gone through our hardships, but you clicked on this video to feel something honest, something true. I hope you can look back and wonder what else is pulling you down. It'll take time, yeah, but wouldn't you want to know why, too? Stay safe, okay? Love you all.